The lasagna was still warm when I left. I made it for her. Her favorite, 3 cheeses, garlic ricotta, no meat. She didn't even touch it. The TV was still on too, playing some ridiculous reality show neither of us ever admitted to liking. The couple on screen was screaming about infidelity. Ironic. Or prophetic. Or just noise. I didn't turn it off when I walked out. That part mattered to me, leaving everything as if I'd just gone to take out the trash. No dramatic music. No goodbye speech. Not even a slammed door. Only one thing had changed. Me. I was done. She was gone to dinner again. Her third team celebration this quarter. Same boss. Same overpriced French place. Same lipstick she hadn't worn for me in over a year. This time, I didn't wait for her to come back. I emptied the drawers. Not all at once. That would raise suspicion. I'd started weeks ago. Quietly. Strategically. One sweater gone. A few socks. My backup hard drive. She didn't notice. Or she pretended not to. But I left the picture of us in Sedona on the nightstand. I left my half-used shampoo. I even left my slippers by the bed. I wanted her confused. I wanted her to walk in and feel like I had been erased instead of departed. Like she was looking at a crime scene where the body just vanished. Because I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to beg her for truth. I'd already gotten what I needed. See, it wasn't the dinner. It wasn't the hotel receipt I found in her coat last week with his name and her initials handwritten in black pen. It wasn't even the text she accidentally sent to my phone last Thursday that read, "Don't worry, I told him I was with Meg. I'll be there in 20. That hurt, yeah? But I could have lived with all of that. It was what I found in the laundry. Buried at the bottom of the hamper, under her gym leggings and my hoodie, was a crumpled napkin. From the French restaurant. It had writing on it in blue ink. Not hers. Not mine. Next time, don't go home. Stay? I stared at it for 20 minutes. My hands shaking like I'd just seen a ghost crawl out of the wall. That's when I realized. She wasn't choosing him over me. She had already chosen. The napkin just hadn't gotten the memo that I still existed. So I gave her what she wanted. By the time she came home from dinner, the house was dim. The lasagna untouched. My keys gone. My toothbrush missing. There was no note. No voicemail. No closure. She could ask her boss for that. She came back at 11:06 p.m. Not 10:30, like she said. Not 10:45, like I hoped. 11:06 p.m. I know because the smart home app on her phone buzzed the moment she unlocked the front door. She never disabled the notifications. Probably didn't think I knew how to access it from my old tablet. Or maybe she just didn't care. Either way, I was already gone. She walked into a house that looked the same at a glance. Couch in place. Shoes by the door, lamp still glowing faint in the hallway. But then, it would have hit her. Her key didn't open the garage. The second car, mine, was gone. The laundry hamper was empty. My coat wasn't hanging anymore. The laptop charger she always borrowed was missing from the desk. She probably called my name. Probably checked the bedroom first. Then the closet. That's when it would have clicked. The suit she hated, the dark gray one I wore to her cousin's wedding, that was gone. I only ever kept it out of spite. It disappeared with me. The safe was empty. She didn't know I had the code changed weeks ago. My birth certificate, passport, and the backup hard drive with our tax records, all of it went with me. Quietly. Piece by piece. But I left the coffee on the kitchen table. Still warm. Not because I forgot it. No. Because I wanted her to feel the breath of me, like I'd been there just minutes ago. And I wanted her to wonder how close we'd come to crossing paths that night. Like 2 trains nearly colliding on the same track. What would she have done if she caught me mid-exit? Begged? Lied? Laughed? I wasn't brave enough to find out. Because here's the part that still guts me to admit. I didn't want her to hurt. I just wanted her to finally notice. But knowing Rochelle, I doubt she cried. She's not the crying type. She's the everything is fine, you're being dramatic type. The you always overthink things type. She probably opened the fridge, saw the untouched lasagna, and poured herself a glass of Cabernet like nothing was unusual. But then she would have seen the kitchen drawer. That's where I left her phone. The second one. The one I found 3 weeks ago tucked in her gym bag. She thought I'd never notice. Different lock screen, different ringtone. Probably meant for work use only. It wasn't even under her name. It was registered to someone named Gavin White. I charged it. Waited. Then opened the gallery. There were photos. Not many. Just enough. A hand on her thigh at a bar. A hotel room mirror selfie. Her favorite dress on a carpeted floor. And one video. 32 seconds. Laughter. Whispered voices. Then her saying, "We shouldn't." I told him I'm at Meg's again. My hand was shaking so hard I dropped the phone. The dog startled. I didn't press play again. I didn't need to. I'd already heard enough. So I put the phone in the drawer, right next to the lasagna recipe card in my handwriting. That drawer used to hold measuring spoons. Now it held her secret and my silence. And I wonder, when she opened it, did she finally feel the weight? Or did she just pour more wine? I don't know how long she stood there staring at the phone. Maybe she froze. Maybe she dropped to the floor. Maybe she just poured another glass of wine and pretended it was a hallucination. But I do know she called me. I saw the call come in, on a different device, from a different location. It rang once. Then again. The third time, she left a voicemail. "Wallace, I'm confused. Where are you? Are you okay? This isn't funny." She sounded calm, like someone trying to act her way through a hostage negotiation. She didn't ask about the phone. She didn't say the word sorry. She didn't even pretend to be surprised. Just that one line at the end, "Call me, please." I didn't. Instead, I checked the tracker I'd installed under the passenger seat of her car a month earlier. Not because I wanted to control her, but because I wanted to know if I was losing my mind or if someone else was living in it. That tracker had given me exact coordinates 4 nights in a row to the same boutique hotel 15 miles from her office. The kind with complimentary champagne and no questions at check-in. The kind with suites named after foreign cities. The kind she once said was tacky and cliché when I suggested it for our anniversary 5 years ago. The same hotel where, on my lunch break 3 Thursdays ago, I parked across the street and watched her walk in with a man in a navy coat. I didn't confront her that day. I didn't even cry. I just drove back to work, sat through a compliance training session, and emailed our financial advisor to separate our investment portfolios. I don't think she's figured that part out yet. But she will. Because the next morning after I disappeared, I know what she did. She checked the master bedroom, opened the closet, saw my suits were gone. She opened the top drawer and found the envelope I left taped to the back panel. A copy of the bank withdrawal slip, the apartment lease in my name, and the printed screenshots of her texts from the burner phone. All bound together in a plastic sleeve like I was handing over an evidence file. The texts were short, coded, boring to anyone else. But I know Rochelle. I know her phrases, her sarcasm, her typos. She thought using initials and fake contact names would protect her. She didn't count on me printing everything before I walked away. But here's where it gets twisted. She didn't call my mother. She didn't text my best friend. She didn't email me or show up at my office. Instead, she went to the bank. I know this because I had a silent alert set up on our joint account, one she never bothered to understand when we set it up. She tried to transfer $8,000 to a separate account labeled Family Emergency. The transfer failed. Account access revoked. She tried again. Failed again. Then she tried calling me. Twice. I watched the calls go to voicemail. Then she sent a single message. "You're being cruel. We need to talk. This isn't like you." No, Rochelle. It wasn't. But maybe she forgot what I was like. The man who sat quietly beside her for 3 years while she slowly replaced our marriage with white lies and red wine. The man who planned our finances while she planned her alibis. The man who loved her long after she stopped loving me back. And the man who, when pushed far enough, didn't explode, didn't scream, didn't threaten. I vanished. Not to hurt her, but to remind her of something she never considered, that I could leave without needing her permission. And the scariest thing for someone like Rochelle is when the man they thought would always stay stops asking why and just goes. Now she's unraveling. But the truth? That's just the beginning. It was Thursday afternoon when the message came in. Not from Rochelle. Not from a lawyer. From Janelle, Rochelle's younger sister. The one who once toasted our marriage at our wedding, then avoided me like the plague ever since. She'd always seen me as too soft, too quiet, too boring. She called me Mr. Spreadsheet, once, right in front of Rochelle. I laughed at the time. I wasn't laughing now. Her message was short. Too short. Just 5 words. "Can you meet me? Alone." I stared at it for a while. I hadn't told anyone where I was. Not even my brother. The apartment I rented under a different last name. The mail rerouted. The utilities in a shell LLC I'd set up 2 years ago when Rochelle first joked about backup plans. It was my own quiet preparation. My version of a lifeboat. But Janelle had found me, and that meant Rochelle was cracking. I agreed to meet her in a diner 3 towns over. It was the kind of place that hadn't changed its wallpaper since 1992. Faded photos of blueberry pie on the windows. Coffee that smelled like it had been brewing since last Tuesday. Perfect. Janelle showed up 10 minutes late, wearing sunglasses and a gray hoodie like she was hiding from the press. She sat down, didn't order anything, and dove straight in. "She's losing it," she said, voice low. "She thinks you're spying on her." She checked the vents for hidden cameras. She tore your closet apart looking for a microphone. I didn't say a word, just stirred my coffee. "She's not okay, Wallace," Janelle continued. "She hasn't gone to work. She's canceled all her meetings. She barely talks to Mom." "She didn't talk to me either," I said. My voice surprised even me. Flat, cold, not like the man I used to be. "She's not who you think she is," Janelle said, then paused. "No, actually, you probably know that better than I do." I raised an eyebrow. "She told me you were being paranoid, that you were always insecure. She made it seem like you were suffocating her. So I took her side. We all did." She leaned forward. "But I saw her phone, Wallace. The second one." I opened the texts. I waited. There were photos, locations, hotel bookings. One message that said, "You're the only man who makes me feel alive." It wasn't sent to you, was it? I didn't respond. Janelle exhaled hard and leaned back. "She's scared now," she said. "Not because she's sorry, but because she realized you didn't just leave. You planned your way out." "Is that why you called me here?" "No," she said, hesitating. "I called you because she went to Dad's house. She's trying to pull your financials. She's talking to some attorney named Melvin Rhodes. She's trying to paint you as emotionally unstable, like you snapped and ran off. She's trying to flip the story." "Exactly." I took a long sip of the burnt coffee. Janelle lowered her voice again. "She doesn't know you closed the accounts yet. She still thinks she can touch the investments." I nodded slowly. I'd anticipated this part too. The portfolio transfers, the asset freeze, even the quiet modification to the trust, it was all done. "She's afraid because you left a hole she can't explain," Janelle said. "Not just to the family, to herself." "She made that hole." "No," Janelle said softly. "She dug it. But you disappearing? That's when she realized how deep it went." For a second, I wanted to feel something. Victory, closure, vindication. But all I felt was emptiness. Like I'd escaped a burning house and was now standing in the ashes, unsure what to build next. "You should be careful," Janelle said, standing up. "She's unpredictable right now. I've never seen her like this." I looked up at her, my expression unreadable. "She ever tell you what she said to me the day after our wedding?" I asked. Janelle shook her head. She said, "You'll never leave me, Wallace. You're the kind of man who clings." Janelle's mouth tightened. And now, I stood too, dropped a 20 on the table, looked her dead in the eyes. Now I'm the kind of man who disappears without slamming the door. As I walked out of that diner, I didn't look back. Not at Janelle. Not at the waitress still wiping down the counter. Not at the memory of the man I'd been in that marriage. Rochelle was trying to rewrite the ending of our story, but I had already started a new chapter, and she wasn't in it. The call came in from the building manager at 6:42 a.m. I was still in bed, half asleep in my new place, staring at the cracks in the ceiling like they held answers. The phone buzzed once, twice, and I ignored it. No one calls me anymore. I made sure of that. But then it buzzed again. Voicemail left. And then a text. "This is Tom. From Ridgewood Estates. I think your ex tried to get into the unit. She said she still had a key. You might want to come check this." I stared at the message for a moment, completely still. She did it. She actually did it. I hadn't been back to the apartment since I left that night. Hadn't needed to. Everything worth taking was already with me, and everything I wanted her to find, I left behind on purpose. Not out of carelessness. Out of cold, deliberate intent. I left it all staged. Like a trap. Like a script written for a performance she didn't know she was starring in. And now the curtain had lifted. I got there just after 7. Tom was waiting by the front gate, arms crossed, clearly uncomfortable. He wasn't a confrontational guy, more than I just mop the hallways and collect packages type. But he looked at me like I was a ticking bomb. "She used the old code," he muttered. "Said she forgot something. She doesn't live here anymore." "Yeah, well," he said, glancing down the hallway. "She didn't look like someone coming back for a sweater." He let me into the unit. It still smelled like her perfume and cinnamon air freshener. like a home that hadn't realized its people were gone. And there, in the middle of the floor, where the coffee table used to sit, was the shoebox I left under the floorboard. Opened, scattered, empty. She had found it. Inside that box had been 5 items. A printed photo of her and Cameron exiting the hotel, time-stamped and grainy, taken from a public traffic cam archive. A copy of the napkin, the one that said, "Next time, don't go home. Stay." A sealed envelope labeled "Prenup," Clause 4B highlighted. The burner phone. And the flash drive. That last one. That was the kicker. It held a single video file. Just one. Her, in the kitchen, 2 months ago. Leaning against the counter, glass of wine in hand, speaking on the phone. Recorded from the nanny cam I installed inside the cabinet light fixture. The one she made me put in after her jewelry got stolen last year. She forgot about it. She was laughing. She said, "He's not stupid. He's just weak. He wouldn't leave even if I kissed you in front of him." I listened to that clip 100 times. Not because I liked the pain. Because I needed to make sure it wasn't a dream. She really said it. She really believed it. And now she'd watched it herself. The irony was brutal. She had broken into our old apartment to find something of hers. And instead she found every quiet betrayal, every rehearsed lie. Every night she thought I was asleep, and she whispered to someone else about how pathetic I'd become. I stood there in the silence, imagining her reaction. The panic, the denial, the trembling hands. I could almost hear the voicemail forming in her head. "Wallace, this isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. Tom cleared his throat behind me. "So, you want me to change the code again?" I nodded slowly. "No," I said. "Delete it. Lock it down. I'm not coming back." I took one last look at the empty shoebox on the floor, then turned and walked out. No closure. No confrontation. Just a stage set, the scene played, and the lead actress left speechless in her own self-authored drama. Let her sit with that silence. Let her taste the nothing I now carry like armor. The message came through on a Tuesday evening. I had just returned from the laundromat, carrying a bag of mismatched socks and a 6-pack of cheap beer. My new apartment still felt like a hotel, sterile, unfamiliar, echoing too much. I'd been trying to learn silence, to become friends with it. But silence, as it turns out, is only peaceful until you realize you're the only one left listening. I dropped the laundry on the couch and checked my phone. One unread email. Subject line: "I think we have something in common." No sender I recognized. The address looked generic, a string of numbers and a Yahoo domain. I almost deleted it without reading. Then I opened it. "My name is Celine Voss. I think you know my husband. Or more accurately, I think your wife knows him better. Let's talk." I stared at the screen like it was written in another language. Voss, as in Cameron Voss. Rochelle's brilliant, driven, married with 2 kids boss. The one who took her out to team dinners. The one who left his cologne on her scarves. The one who, apparently, wasn't just cheating on me, but on his own wife too. I didn't respond that night. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust it. It felt too precise. Too clean. It reeked of a trap. So I waited. 2 days later, a follow-up came in. No anger. No drama. Just a single line and an attachment. "This was from the parking garage camera. That's your wife in the passenger seat, right?" I opened the file. The timestamp was 2 weeks before I left. Cameron's car, I recognized the vanity plate, pulled into a private garage under a luxury condo building across town. Rochelle was in the front seat. She wasn't looking at him. She was looking at the security camera with a smirk. Like she knew she was being watched. Like it turned her on. My hands went cold. Not from heartbreak. I'd used all that up. It was something different now. Like stepping on a floorboard and hearing it creak above a basement you didn't know existed. I replied, "Yes, that's her. What do you want?" She responded within 10 minutes. "To make sure we both burn the right people. I'm done playing the fool in his story. I think you are too." Celine asked to meet in a public park, midday, broad daylight. I agreed. When I saw her in person, she wasn't what I expected. No designer heels. No Chanel purse. She wore jeans, a navy sweater, no makeup. Tired eyes. The kind of tired you only earn from realizing your entire marriage was a set piece. We sat on opposite ends of a bench, the wind slicing between us like a blade. "I didn't come here to cry," she said flatly. "I did that already. Twice." I stayed quiet. "I went through his phone last week," she continued. Not just texts, emails, calendar invites, hotel confirmations. Rochelle used her work email like an idiot. She handed me a manila envelope. Inside, dozens of printed screenshots, including one that made my stomach twist. A reservation for two, under her name, for a cabin upstate. Valentine's weekend. We never celebrated Valentine's. She always said it was too commercial. She told me they were in love, Celine said. I confronted her. Yes, I met with her. Don't worry, I didn't slap her or throw a drink. I just wanted to look her in the eye when I told her what she was. What did she say? I asked. Celine laughed without humor. She said, Wallace won't do anything. He'll sulk for a while, and then come crawling back. He needs me. Then she sipped her espresso like she'd won. She paused. She doesn't know you disappeared on your own terms, does she? No, I said quietly. Good. Let's keep it that way. Celine had a plan. She wasn't vindictive. She was strategic. She wanted to file for separation and dismantle Cameron's world from the inside. Legally, financially, emotionally. She had leverage, and now she wanted to share it. Not for vengeance. For precision. We don't need to destroy them, she said. We just need to take away the fantasy. As I walked away from the meeting, the envelope under my arm, I realized what had truly shifted in me. I wasn't sad. I wasn't grieving. I was building something. Not revenge. Not a comeback. A new identity. One where Rochelle's name meant nothing to me anymore. But she didn't know that yet. It started with a knock. Not a polite, uncertain knock. Not the kind you use when you're worried you've got the wrong door. This was hard. Sharp. Measured. Like someone trying to own the silence between us. I didn't move right away. I watched from the peephole. There she was. Rochelle. Hair tied back in that fake casual way she used to wear to job interviews. Sunglasses too big for her face. A manila folder tucked under her arm. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't about regret. It was about control. Documentation. Optics. She hadn't come to say sorry. She'd come to take back the narrative. I stepped away from the door and exhaled slowly. My heart didn't race. No tremble. No anger. I felt, still, detached. Like watching a rerun of a show I'd already memorized. I didn't answer right away. Let her knock again. 3 times this time, faster. She knew I was home. My car was parked right outside. Lights were on. I opened the door, but only halfway. She pushed against it instantly, like she had a right to walk through. I didn't move. Wallace, she said. Her voice was too calm. Too rehearsed. Can we talk? I just looked at her. No words. Just long enough to make her blink first. I've been trying to be respectful, she continued, ignoring the irony. But you can't just vanish like this. It's not healthy. You left a mess, Wallace. There are real consequences. There already were, I finally said. You just didn't notice them until I left. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were tired, but not remorseful, just annoyed. I didn't come here to fight. I came to explain. You don't owe me an explanation. No, she said, but I owe myself one. That line. That sentence. That perfect Rochelle logic, where she was always the victim of her own decisions. I was about to respond when a voice called out from inside. Is everything okay, Wally? Rochelle's body stiffened. She turned slowly, peering past me into the apartment. And there she saw Celine, barefoot, holding a cup of coffee in one hand and a file folder in the other. Rochelle didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared, the kind of stare that strips wallpaper. I didn't say anything either. I didn't need to. Celine stepped forward, casually sipping from the mug. Oh, hello, Rochelle, she said with that surgical calm only women who've been cheated on develop. We weren't expecting guests. You could have called. Rochelle opened her mouth, then closed it. For once, no script, no spin. She glanced at the file in Celine's hand, then back at me. You're working together? No, Celine replied. We're surviving together. Rochelle tried to laugh. It came out brittle. You think this is going to make me jealous? You think this proves something? Celine stepped even closer, now standing almost beside me. This isn't about you anymore, she said. That's what scares you. Rochelle's eyes darted between us, looking for cracks, an angle, some weak point she could press. But there weren't any. So she defaulted to what she knew, manipulation. I still have rights, Wallace. Legal rights. Financial ones. I nodded. I know. That's why everything's been moved. Every asset. Every account. The lawyer you try to hire? He works for my firm's risk division. You should have Googled him. That broke her. Just a flicker. A crack in the armor. You think this is winning? She said, her voice sharper now. You think hiding in some apartment with his wife is some kind of moral high ground? No, I said quietly. It's just finally being seen. She stared at me. Not the way she used to. Not with warmth or anger. Just confusion, like she was trying to remember the shape of someone she used to love but had carelessly erased. You won't even hear my side. I gave her the smallest shrug. I already lived it. She stood there another second, then turned around. No goodbye, no slammed door. Just the sound of her heels fading down the hallway like a storm that never touched land. Celine and I stood in silence for a while after that. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Because sometimes you don't need to burn the bridge. Sometimes you just let them cross it alone and find out the other side doesn't exist anymore. 2 weeks passed. The apartment stayed quiet. No knocks. No texts. No unexpected cars parked across the street. Rochelle had vanished the same way I once did, but hers wasn't strategic. It was shame. It was surrender. Celine moved back in with her sister for a while to handle her divorce in peace. We still talked, almost daily. We weren't a couple. We weren't plotting revenge anymore. We were just two people who had been pulled from the same wreckage and were learning how to breathe again. Then, on a Wednesday morning, I received Rochelle's final message. No subject line. No angry paragraphs. No demands. Just 4 lines. I saw you. You looked lighter. I hope you're okay. I won't bother you again. I read it once, then again. It was the only thing she'd said to me that didn't feel rehearsed. I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but because there was nothing else to say. Her chapter was closed. And for the first time in years, my life wasn't defined by someone else's decisions. I wasn't Wallace the husband, or Wallace the one who stayed, or Wallace who overthinks everything. I was just Wallace. And that was enough. A month later, I stood in a little bookstore on the corner of Hawthorne and Fifth, independent, dusty, quiet, the kind of place no algorithm could replace. I'd taken a part-time job there to clear my head, sort shelves, talk about poetry with strangers, spend entire days without hearing the words compromise or compliance. One evening, while closing up, a woman walked in just before the bell rang. She wore old boots and a denim jacket, no makeup, no performance. She picked up a copy of The Art of Stillness and smiled. You like Pico Iyer? She asked. I nodded. I used to read him during lunch breaks. Helped me survive a lot of long meetings. She laughed softly. Same. We talked for 10 minutes. Then 20. She didn't ask about my past. I didn't offer it. She told me she taught high school English. Her name was May. I told her I was learning how to enjoy silence. She said, then maybe we should get coffee sometime and sit in it together. That's all it was. No grand gestures. No fast plans. Just two people quietly learning how to be seen again. As I locked the door behind her, I looked out at the street and saw nothing chasing me anymore. No shadows. No doubt. No version of myself I needed to prove wrong. I was free. And freedom, real, grounded, earned freedom, doesn't feel like fireworks or fanfare. It feels like peace. And peace, as it turns out, is the most romantic thing of all.